Hi, I'm Lynn of Spot Bear Designs, and this video is going to show you how to make this fun 3-color pom-pom that is on the top of the alternate hat. We're going to start with a 2.5-inch pom-pom maker. As you can see, it has these arms that pull out and going in opposite directions, and as well, the whole thing comes apart into 2 pieces. We'll be pulling it apart at the end of the pom-pom. So we want the 2 pieces together. We're going to slide one set of arms in. This other set of arms we're going to start working with. We're going to start wrapping it with the roasted pumpkin accent color. This is the color that's going to be on the bottom, the whole bottom of the pom-pom. So you're just going to wrap around. You don't have to worry about being super neat, but what you are going to want to do is wrap this very, very fully. You'll be surprised how much yarn you can actually get on here. I fill it up all the ways. Okay, I think we've got this full as it's going to get. So we're just going to cut the yarn. Again, you don't need to be worrying about being careful or in any particular spot. And we're going to fold this in. It should fit in really nice and tightly. And then we're going to start on the other side. So we have the one side wrapped with the pumpkin. Now the other side we're going to wrap with the other 2 colors, the fuchsia and the orange. So I'm going to start on the side that's near where this is connected, just to be a little less awkward. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap one half of the side with the orange and the other half with the fuchsia. So I'm going to start with the orange and wrap for a bit, remembering that I'm not going to go past that center part. And after I've wrapped several rounds, it's going to probably want to start nudging past that center part on me. So I'm going to stop, I'm going to hold it, and I'm going to start with the fuchsia. And I'm going to wrap the rest of the side. Where you really want to open up that arm so you can get at it. I'm going to wrap this up so I have a similar amount of the fuchsia on here as I have of the orange. Similar depth. We go a little beyond. Build this up. Then I'm going to go back to wrapping the orange. And again, you want to get this wrapped up as full as you have on the pumpkin side. I'm going to switch back to the fuchsia. Got the fuchsia wrapped up as much as it can go, so I'm going to cut that. And then finish up with the orange. Now I have all the yarn wrapped on, and there we go. So our next step is to cut all this yarn that we've wrapped. So we're going to pick this up, we're going to find that in between those 2 sides, nice pair of sharp scissors. I'm just going to cut all the way across. It can be a little hard to get it to cut. So you can also do this in layers if you want. If you miss any, you can go back. Make sure to keep all the arms down. And Move over and cut the other side. So we have everything cut all the way around. It's always good to look and check to see if you've missed any. You can go back and cut them now. You want to make sure every yarn is cut. And now we're going to tie off the pom-pom. I like to use a waxed thread. This is optional, but I find that it really makes it a lot easier. I have some bookbinding thread that I just happen to have. It's a little bit heavier than a sewing thread. I think it's good to use something a little bit heavier. This does not happen to be waxed, so I will wax it myself with my piece of beeswax. And I just run it through the beeswax. I have a piece that's about 12 to 15 inches long. And I'll just run it through the beeswax a couple times to wax it. And now I'm ready to tie off my pom-pom. So I'm going to take this thread and I'm going to run it right in between the two sides. If you remember, these two discs come open. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to run it all the way around. And then I'm going to pull. I'm going to hold on to the Pom-Pom Maker, but I'm going to pull tight. I'm going to pull as tightly as I can. I'm going to do a half knot, and I'm going to pull again as tightly as I can. It's important to pull tight. It's going to give you a better pom-pom that's going to last. So now I go wrap around again to the other side. And here I'm going to end up doing a square knot. So I'm going to do half knot. Again, pulling as tight as possible, and then finish off the square knot. So now everything is tight, and we're going to be ready to have our pom-pom, but we still don't have a thread that we want to use to sew this onto your hat. So I'm going to take one more thread, which is going to be a piece of the pumpkin yarn, which is the bottom color. So you want to use the bottom color. This is what you're going to use to sew the pom-pom onto the hat. And here I'm going to take, again, about 12-15 inches, maybe a little bit longer. If you have not used the wax thread, when you do this, you're going to want to wrap twice and you're going to want to pull really hard. The important thing to remember is you want to have the ends, the final knot, lining up with the very bottom of the pumpkin section, because you want to have this difference where the two colors change. That wants to be on the top of the hat. So wherever this thread ends up is going to be where you're tying the hat onto the hat. So I'm going to just run this around like we did with the waxed thread. I don't have to worry quite as much about being tight because I've got that wax thread that's doing the work for me already. But I'm going to tie my knot again right here in the center of the pumpkin section, and I'll tie a square knot with this. Okay, now we're ready. We can trim the wax thread. You want to trim it shorter than the rest of the yarn so that it just sort of falls into the middle of the pom-pom and disappears. And we're ready to open up our pom-pom. So we can open the arms. It's a little tight, but just pull them open. And then we can separate and pull out our pom-pom. And I like to take it and shake it from our threads and get it to fluff all up. Now that we have our pom-pom, you may see that there's some threads that are a little extra long. It might look a little oblong instead of round. So here's where you're really going to do quite a bit of trimming. And I recommend being sort of aggressive with this. I used to be kind of scared to trim it, but just go for it. It's going to look better once you trim it down. So again, nice pair of sharp scissors. I'm going to trim this side down because it looked a little bit more oval than round. And keep shaking it as I trim. You find some threads that are a little extra long. This side also looked ovally. Take a look. Have some extra long threads. And here's how you're going to sew this onto the top of your hat. And you'll see that here we have the one from the hat that we looked at the very beginning. So it's a really fun technique to get 3 colors into your pom-pom, 3 distinct colors that really show off. And I hope you have fun with this and with the alternate hat.